Everyone, we're back here again. Mics are on. I always have to check the fucking cameras over there, but the mic things are over there. So I need to like look just to be super like careful and on top of it all. Anyway, welcome to the Pantsless podcast. This is our little show. With me here today is Northern Savant, Trevor, Dog, and not Gradigi.
It's good.
What?
That's good.
But he has a beard.
He has
He was
a-
tricking me.
Yeah,
I mean, we grew up close to each other, so you could just
yeah,
just interchange us.
that is true, and it's just by happenstance. Like this is not. It is definitely not like. It wasn't like Gradigi's idea to get Achilles Star here, but through like happenstance, 2 weeks ago when Achilles Star was watching the podcast, he noticed the dude in our chat who he recognized, and then turns out, fucking Gradigi and Empire and Achilles Star, everyone they lived like in the same fucking house or some shit in Illinois.
One big fucking house.
Yeah, big fucking house. Anyway, don't worry, Joe will be back. We did a little swap for this episode. It's all good. Anyway, how's everyone doing?
Swell.
Doing pretty good.
Fantastic.
Had an awful day at Tarkov, but I'm getting over it.
That is basically Tarkov. Every day's an awful day with Tarkov.
That's true.
Whew, we got some stuff for today. I think we're gonna start with the big one. At least it's a big one for me because it's close to my heart. It's really close to my heart, and it's a sad day. It's a sad day for gaming and gamers all around. For one big reason.
Drumroll, please.
I called this day one. Maybe not, but day one. I'm gonna say I called this day one. It is now official. I'm gonna show you guys this because I'm such a good guy.
I'm literally on the edge of my seat. You gotta keep talking.
Don't worry, we're getting there. We're getting there.
Even I don't know what we talk about before these things go up.
There's a particular video game that I've been following since the release of that video game. I have been very, very critical about that video game since the beginning of it. And today, it was announced that is not the right. This is my OBS, by the way. Hello. Showing the wrong thing. Don't worry, guys. Also, saying that it's supposed to be. That's not right. This is it. Boom. Anthem update. In the spirit of transparency and closure, we wanted to share that we made the difficult decision to stop our new development work on Anthem, aka Anthem Next. We will, however, continue to keep Anthem live service running as it exists today. Big F's in chat. Anthem is now dead. Officially dead. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah, I'm just like surprised that it's been like years since they like started trying to like make the Anthem Next, and they created nothing. They
Year and a half.
refused to. Yeah, year and a half, and they created nothing. And also, it's probably not because of their choice, but EA's choice.
100%.
Definitely. More than anything, I
even
would
said
tip
it,
my
man.
hat to EA though. EA gave them a shitload of years to
That's true.
salvage that project. I think that it's very uncharacteristic of EA in my mind.
I wanted Anthem to be good, but it just didn't pull through.
The CGI looked
It
good at E3.
Yeah.
It looked great, but I mean, I guess if that means we're getting bigger and better things, I'm all for it because I hated Anthem, but I gave it a shot. As I talked on the last one with the the alpha that or the beta that didn't work at all. That was my shot. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of sad. It feels like it hasn't been around. When did it come out? 2019, right? Is that what it said on the article? 2018?
I think it was 2019 February. So
Man, it's just 2 years. That is crazy for a game that's supposed to be like live service, Destiny, like be around for 10 years, get all these DLC, monetize it up.
Yeah, let's not forget that Anthem had a 10-year plan.
Wow. But
and like ultimately this is not a win for anyone. Everyone loses here. Go ahead, Nate.
Oh, so the one I was going to say, if we get anything good out of this, their system for scaling everything, the way that they scaled the weapons, the players, was so complete dog shit. And if we just, as long as we never see that again, to me, that's the one good thing I can take. The silver lining for Anthem to me is that if we never see that system again, then it, I don't want to say it'd be worth it, but I'm hoping that they'll learn that you can't make a quote unquote RPG and then scale everything to everybody's characters. It defeats the whole purpose of an entire RPG. So I'm hoping they learned their lesson, at least in that. Among all the other problems with the game, to me, that was one issue that was so ingrained in the game, because it wasn't how do I say this? It wasn't a monster or a boss or an item, or it was just something that you could just take out of the game. That was the basis of the game. And so I'm hoping they learn their lesson there, and that everybody in the game world, takes a lesson from that and goes, okay, this didn't work. I hope they understand why it didn't work, I guess is what I'm saying. As long as they can understand why it didn't work, then it'll at least have served some purpose in this world.
Yeah, I mean, Anthem, since the launch of Anthem, one of the 5 different launch days it had, but whatever, it completely, like, from the very start, it was a fucked up game. And like the months after the initial launch, where there was just issue after issue and these weird kind of things, like, because I remember when we got the video footage of where they showed that a level 1 gun is as good as a max level gun. Like, the numbers were arbitrary. They didn't mean anything. So, I mean, you have a literal looter shooter where the numbers don't mean anything. It boggles my mind, because somebody inside BioWare made the decision to do that. It's not some rogue developer being like, I'm just gonna half-ass this job. I mean, this was a pre-planned thing for the game, where you are eliminating the looter shooter aspect of your looter shooter game, where you're hunting for that next piece of loot, because that's what drives any looter shooter. It's and honestly, like, when it was announced that Anthem is going into this incubation period, about a year and a half, where they scrapped the roadmap and they scrapped every future update and just said, okay, we're gonna hunker down, we're gonna have this small ass fucking dev team, like, trying to figure out how to rework this game. And it boggles my mind that EA gave them this long to produce absolutely nothing. I do not understand. Even pair that with Jason Schreier's Anthem expose that he did a couple years ago, where he detailed this from the start of the development to the release of the game, where it 6 years they developed the game, but in actuality it was development in 2 years, because they were dicking around for 4 years doing nothing. Yeah. So, and even after that, what have they done in this year and a half? It like how does EA let that happen? I understand that, you know, even I as a gamer, I like when publishers let the developers do whatever they want. I like if there's not like that big overlord like looking over you the entire time. I think it's better for the game itself if like the suits keep out of it. But this is the other side of the coin, where, you know, there's like nobody there, fucking nobody reining these people in, and they're spending millions of dollars doing absolutely nothing, and then they shit out this game and it completely fails. And we have EA executives, the fucking CEO of the fucking company, on stage promising us that we're gonna have the best fucking game ever. We have a 10-year plan, and you're gonna fucking love it. And 2 years down the line, it's like, what? It's, yep, canned, shit fucked, yep, buried, nobody cares anymore. Let's move on. Like,
That's because they make more money off of FIFA card packs than whatever that was producing. So I guess it was just like, okay, throw that in the trash can.
but it's like, because it's so uncharacteristic to, like, against EA's like normally how they do. They're so quick to like just sack companies and you know, end services and go balls to the wall. Like, this isn't working. We're gonna shut the studio down. We're gonna relocate these people to doing like EA games. Like, this dude and this dude, you're gonna make more FIFA packs for us, you motherfucker. And then that's how they roll.
So why do you think they let them do that? Like, why in that article, it talked about how the reason they're shutting them down is because they need them to focus on Dragon Age and some other stuff.
Yeah.
So they have the reason for why doing it now. I want to know, is there really just they didn't have anything else in the works? Like, do they not have anything else for these people to do? And we said, all right, we'll give them a year, see what they come up with. And then they came up with jack shit, apparently. And they said, all right, fucking shut it down. Like, you guys are going to go work on something else.
Yeah, so like
that's the only explanation I could think of.
The team that has been working on the Anthem Next, or the Anthem 2.0 thing, has been very small. I think this is a while ago, like probably a year ago. I read from the it's the same dude who wrote this, Christian Daly. He detailed a little bit about it. Like, they have a dev team of about 15-20 people that they are solely working on Anthem, and the rest of BioWare is doing whatever, like with Dragon Age or Mass Effect or whatever. And their focus was to try to figure out how to basically rework the game from the ground up, with, you know, overhaul the loot system and the progression and yada yada yada. And I don't know. Apparently they failed. That's the only thing I can assume, that they failed
badly.
I mean, they shut the fucking project down. So yeah, I mean,
yeah.
The next step is to get fired. But, you know, they probably, I mean, Christian said that they are going to focus on Dragon Age and Mass Effect. And to my understanding, they are pretty hardcore on Dragon Age right now.
I'm wondering if the main goal was not, if it was like, okay, because the team's so small, right? You said 15-20 people. It's like, you're surprised that it's not more people trying to band together, be like, okay, how can we make this game good? It seems like they were just scrapping the bottom of their plate, being like, okay, maybe salvage it, but then, like, the product's already out. They already got money from the product. Maybe they were just like, if we save it, we save it. But, like, best case scenario, you know, we get, you know, good press and maybe a few more sales, and then they move on to Dragon Age. So I mean, maybe it was just kind of like a we'll try, but, like, maybe not the main goal to save Anthem.
I don't see the point of that, though. It's wasted money. Like, having an employee costs a shitload. And I mean, I don't think these are like low paying jobs. So, like, having like one employee that costs the company maybe upwards of $200,000 a year to keep that guy you need to sell a shitload of copies to like justify them working on something that's like on life support.
Yeah, but think about the like Anthem was supposed to be the EA version of Destiny, or like the Ubisoft or Ubisoft. They have the what's it called? Division 2. It was supposed to compete with those guys, but it couldn't.
Oh yeah, I mean, because the game fucking failed.
Yeah, the money was right there. It was right there, but no.
I'm just wondering. It's like who sat down and made the decision. It's like, all right, if their main goal was to like completely, like let's get Anthem, let's make it into like tip top shape, and let's redo what we did. Why do you make that decision? And then you're like, let's run, like one, however one. I don't know how big BioWare is. Let's just throw a number out there. 15 people, 1/10. I don't know. It's just such a small amount of. There goes Detective Tom figuring it out. But we got. It's just it's strange to me if they were genuine on like we need to save this game, that they had so many little resources. I guess the biggest resource they had was time. It was like, you have 15 people, but if you have a X amount of years to work on it, then you got to pump out something. Was the mindset, I guess.
Yeah, I believe the small dev team was mainly just because the game was done. You don't have to create assets. You don't necessarily have to like program a lot. They could like switch things up, make like small adjustments that lead to bigger adjustments, and have this little period of time, the 1 year, 1.5 years, to see if they can actually make it. I think this was kind of like scouting time. So they went on, they tried to see if they can do something. Then, comes in the Reaper and asks like, well, can this be salvaged? And then they probably had an honest discussion between like EA executives and the Anthem dudes, and they probably said no. I mean,
You think there's a chance that, so I had heard early on that EA got their gritty little fingers in Anthem, and it was supposed to be something totally different to begin with. And then once they got into it and they kept pushing, I mean, they pretty much ripped the game apart and made them supposedly put different things in, which makes you wonder, is the whole, system, was that part of EA? I don't know. But could it be possible that this was just like a fuck you to them? Like, they didn't even care. Like, you've ruined our game already. We're just going to take your money as long as you're going to give it to us and not actually do it. Because how do you have a year to take a fully functioning game? I mean, there were bugs, but there were not a ton of bugs. There are games that have been out for a year that have more bugs than that game had at launch. It wasn't the bugs that ruined it. It was everything else that was totally fixable. Like, and the community was there to tell them, this is what we don't like. This is what we do. This is what we would prefer to see. And they had that feedback. They had a year. They had, I would assume, a decent amount of resources. So how could you not fix it short of just being like, we're not even going to try at this point because we're so pissed off of what at the whole process to begin with. It's just obviously complete theory, but I just want to throw it out there.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, we probably will never know like what they actually accomplished in this time. I mean, if
maybe in
if
30
the plan
years.
Is, well, yeah, I mean, at some point there's going to be that second expose written by somebody like, this is what happened during the incubation period.
Well, the gaming industry is like it's very unpredictable. You never know what's going to happen. You never know what's going to be the next big thing. So I think they gave the year for people to actually find the game and see what it's all about. Like,
but here's some of the non-mysteries.
Yeah.
A broken game is kind of shit.
Yep.
And like a non-functioning game is worse. And when the community is screaming about updates that they want in the game, and the developers are like, can't do it, that's kind of shit too. If you have a live service game, do what the fucking community wants.
Yeah, but there was this game called Fallout 76, and it was a fucking mess when it launched. and it's still probably a fucking mess. And people still fucking bought the game.
Well, yeah.
So you never know what flies. You never know what flies. Sometimes you can throw garbage can at the gamers and they be like, "Oh, this is the best thing ever."
A shit ton of people bought Anthem too.
Yeah.
and like, so obviously we don't have any numbers like how many people actually play Anthem. Like, let's say the last month. Because like ultimately what drives these games, even the shittiest game, it stays online if there's enough players to justify it being online. And I guarantee that EA has looked at the numbers and they're like, they are doing the business decision. It's not worth it anymore. Just gonna, shut it down and let's put these 15, 20 people like on these projects that are upcoming. And, hopefully someone inside BioWare has worked on Anthem and, like you guys said, like learned something from this. It is baffling to me that there's like people in high positions within the games industry and in certain companies, and they keep fucking up. And I don't understand why they fuck up these most simplest things.
All right, good segment.
Yeah. You brought up a good point about that. Not to draw it on too long, but it could potentially be one of the reasons they did is they might have looked at it and said, listen, even maybe it's not actually as incomplete as we think. Maybe it's that they think the player base isn't there. So obviously they may say, okay, we've got all that, we've reworked so much. We need another 6 months. They could be saying, we're not giving you another 6 months. We've given you a year. It doesn't matter anymore. Your time's up. Maybe they could finish it. They just need more time. And EOA and BioWare saying, no, there is no more time because their player base has got to be pretty minuscule by this point, I would imagine. And it's only going to get smaller, right? So they may think we could either release this in 6 months, you spend even more money, whatever, and try to get those fans back, or maybe it's just not worth salvaging anymore. Maybe it's better to just move on to the next thing, which is probably what they should have done to begin with. I agree 100% with you, Tom. Like for EA to give them that time is absolutely insane. But obviously a lot of different theories that could be there, but maybe it'll be like 007 in 20 years. We'll get a leak and we'll be able to play Anthem next.
Yeah, I mean, everything just falls down to like, we're not on the inside and we don't know the business.
Yeah.
And we're not the ones making the decisions. So we can theorize forever like what's gone down.
Right.
I mean, the game might be in the best version right now. Who knows? But if EA decides that it's not worth it anymore, then that's what, we can all get disappointed again when Dragon Age 4 comes out.
Woo!
Because God knows they are trying to make that as a live service game too.
Wait, really?
Oh yeah, I mean that's the prevailing opinion of people who know something about it. That's what they keep saying. But I mean, again, like and this again, what I hope they learn from Anthem is, I talked to Joe about this, like about live service games in general. Like, what is the reason why games like Anthem and the Avengers, why do they fail? And Joe brought up, like, if there's a company like Blizzard who can make World of Warcraft and convince people to pay $15 a month, like, how can you not replicate that? Well, I get that point. I would say that there's about like 2 MMOs right now that are really like profitable, and those Final Fantasy XIV and World of Warcraft. And then we have like the live service games. Now, in all intents and purposes, they are like online multiplayer games, both sides. But I never really view MMOs and live service games in the same category. And I think I do this because in my eyes, even like Anthem and Avengers, what I see is a game that is a single player game which they are forcing to be a multiplayer game. And what I see is, especially in the Avengers game, is when you boil down the gameplay, it is essentially you doing instances. Think like World of Warcraft instances. That is the gameplay. They have closed off maps which you run from start to finish and you hope you get some loot. That's an instance. That's what you do in World of Warcraft. aside from all the other shit you do in World of Warcraft. So they are boiling down like old school like game mechanics to their bare minimum, and then they're like, here's the shit, pay $60 now.
But that's the thing. I like all the aspects out of like those instances. That's what I like.
Exactly. That's my point. Like, because I posed this question to Joe. Like, how fucking livid would the World of Warcraft community be if the next expansion is like 6 closed off maps of instances, and that's the entire expansion? I mean, they would fucking hate it.
Oh yeah, be outrage.
Yeah, of course they would. Like,
100%.
That's not an expansion to World of Warcraft, and that's not what the fans expect it to be. I don't know. I think the Avengers game would have served way better as a single player game. I think Anthem would have served way better as a single player game. I think Division kind of works as a multiplayer game because, I mean, they riddle Division with those Ubisoft like quests. You know, they put the map, it's like 1 million fucking not checkpoints, but points of interest on the map that you go to, and they're like, oh, this is a quest. A quest? Run to this place and, kill that guy. Oh, cool. And then we repeat that like 100 times.
That's what Ubisoft does well, is like make co-op single player games, and where you have to just like run around and go kill someone, and then you change location and do the same thing. That's like
every Far Cry game.
Every Far Cry ever.
Like, yeah.
I mean, every Ubisoft game uses the same formula.
Yeah. That's why I don't play Ubisoft games anymore.
Because, like, I have played Far Cry. I played Far Cry 3, and I played every Far Cry after that. Like, not really. Like, I played 1 and 3. But my point is, when you play one Far Cry, you played them all. The story may change a little bit, but even worse than that, Far Cry 3 and 4 uses the same story aspects and story beats pretty, like, hand to hand. And the same is with Assassin's Creed. I've played them all. Not, like, really, but I played them all. Because I played 2 way back in the day, and they've never changed the formula. Sure, it's a little more RPG now, but come on, man. It's the location that changes. And that's it.
Yeah, now you can use pods.
Yeah, there's only one Assassin's Creed where you can sing sea shanties, and that's the one I want.
Please, $60 for the she shanties now.
You're making a joke.
Yo ho.
Black Flag. Oh, give me a pirate minigame and I'm happy.
I mean, like, essentially every. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
They could have just made one Assassin's Creed and just release the rest of them as a DLC.
That's exactly what I was gonna say.
What was that like?
Yeah, literally, that's exactly what I was gonna say. They could have. Same for Far Cry. It could have been just Assassin's Creed, and then every game from it. One. I mean, you are the same person, right? You're
technically.
Spoiler alert. You're traveling through time or whatever. I've actually never played an Assassin's Creed game. Full disclosure here. But I know everything there is to know about it because they've released 30 of them or however many they released, and they're all the same game as Tom was saying. But yeah, and Far Cry is the same way, and they kind of did that, right? Didn't they? They had a Far Cry 5, and then they had like a Far Cry 5.5. And I did play. Yeah, and it was like I think it was $20 or $30 or something like that. I will play the Far Cry games just because
was it standalone though? You didn't have the original?
Yeah, I think
I don't.
They did the same with 3. They released the standalone DLC, the Blood Dragon one. Yeah.
Yeah, the story, you're in the same story, but I don't think you had to own the original. And it was actually probably better than the other one. It was just shorter. But it's about as long as those games need to be. All those games are just a little too long for the sake of people are like, if you make a $60 game and it's only 20 hours or 10 hours, people freak out. Oh, this game's not long enough. And they got to charge their $60 for it because it's a AAA title. So they have to pack it full of bullshit, run, kill missions and all this stuff.
And then they are like surprised when the player stops playing it after finishing the game because they have no replayability. It's like you play it through and then you're like, oh, that's it. I'm done.
That was a big thing with Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk, I keep getting news about how like most of their player base has stopped playing. I'm like, it's a single player story game. You finish that in a month, okay, next game. I'm good. There's not really any reason to stay there.
Those stories actually pissed me off when people were like linking it all over social media, like, oh, Cyberpunk has like lost the majority of their player base since release. Like, no fucking shit. There's two different people of like who played Cyberpunk. There were those who played it and fucking finished it. And then there's people like me who still haven't played it because we don't have the fucking rig to play it. There doesn't exist anyone else.
Yeah, but like if they had that headline with Club Penguin, it would mean something. But it's a story. It's a single player story game. It's like, okay, you finish it, and then
yeah, I mean, like
there's a few side quests
there. In any game where you're supposed to play forever, it makes sense. But when like, who the fuck plays like, oh yeah, I finished a single player game, I'm just gonna start it over right now. Okay, Sully did that with fucking 15, but okay, fucking North 2, I guess.
Yeah, I played the Sekiro. I played it like 10 times.
So yeah, I can understand on some games, but you know, the majority of people play a single player game, and when they finish that single player game, they don't play it anymore. Maybe in a couple of years or whatever, but.
And I wish they would stop putting multiplayer in games that don't fucking need multiplayer. Far Cry does not need multiplayer. Tomb Raider does not need multiplayer. Uncharted does not need multiplayer. Like, they try to get the replayability out for what I don't understand why. Like, we could stop doing that if we could. Everyone would agree to just not. Who the fuck is playing? Like, I played it. I admit I played Far Cry multiplayer because I gotta see who the fuck is playing this. And you could probably do 1,000 matches and you're gonna get 90% of the same people because there's 20 people in the world that are playing it for whatever reason, and half of them are cheating. And you know, there's no outcry for against cheaters and hacks and stuff in a game like that because nobody's gonna fucking play multiplayer. It's ridiculous. So I had to throw that in on the.
Yeah, I don't
Assassin's
understand
Creed.
I don't think Assassin's Creed.
No, Assassin's Creed had a multiplayer aspect where it was, I think you were trying to hide like in crowds and stuff, and the other person tried to kill you.
Yeah.
Oh, hide it.
Yeah, and then Unity also had like the story mode multiplayer. That was the whole
Right.
But like the main idea is like, if you can, like, if I'm liking a game and I'm like, hey, it has multiplayer, maybe I can convince 2 of my friends to get it who wouldn't play it otherwise. That's why I think that's why they throw it in there, so it's a little extra bank.
But you can play Far Cry the story multiplayer, and I don't have a problem with that. That's how I played them all. They're kind of fun. But they have a actual shooter multiplayer 8v8 match. That's what I'm talking. Like, I don't mind the doing the story mode together. A co-op mode is not what I'm talking about. I think that's totally fine. You know, there are lots of people that, you know, I think more games should kind of embrace, especially difficult games that can still target younger kids. I think should embrace that to some extent. But I'm talking like flat on multiplayer. Like Uncharted had a freaking multiplayer mode where you got a grapple hook and swing around the map and shoot each other. I was like, who's buying Uncharted to play a FPS? Like, nobody is doing this. Who cares? But
two things. Ubisoft puts multiplayer into games because 10 years ago everyone was demanding multiplayer in games, and Ubisoft, it takes a little while for Ubisoft to, you know, catch up. It's just a Ubisoft like formula essentially. The Last of Us 1 multiplayer was like one of the few like single player game focused multiplayers that I remember people really fucking liking. And I think since Naughty Dog makes like one game once per decade, I think they struck lightning in the bottle in a way. And it's odd for me to see like companies like Ubisoft that they really go after the trends. They never replicated that. And they never tried to like copy what Naughty Dog did with Last of Us. The Uncharted multiplayers, though, I do agree they were Poo-poo. But yeah. Rip Anthem.
Oh, it was a good run.
Was it though?
Kind of, not really. No,
Was
never
it
mind.
though?
Forget I said that.
It was not a good run.
In my opinion, it was still better run than Fallout 76.
Amen. Well,
I-
player base
I
wise,
Tom
played it
probably
again.
disagrees, but that's my opinion.
I mean, I have not played Fallout 76 for various reasons.
yeah, but if they're gonna give a game time, like there was a small chance it comes back and is like No Man's Sky, where it just like has this upsurge. It's like apparently it's amazing now. I never played No Man's Sky, so I can't like.
There was a
It's still boring.
Twitter thread that happened. To find the tweet. I'm not trying to like shame this person or anything, but this happened. So 2 weeks ago when we had our latest episode, I mentioned like quickly like that in the beginning of the episode that EA is gonna have that meeting with BioWare to like decide Anthem's fate, and so one other streamer that I know personally, he said in response to the Jason Schreier like news that he broke about this supposed meeting, he said EA creating hype by sending out controversial news on an absolute decision being made over Anthem's future to blow up revised gameplay and content redemption to maximize and put the company in a merciful spotlight. BioWare has been working on this for a year. They won't pull the plug. Now, obviously, they did pull the plug now, so, you know. I think it kind of... Because in that same, like, thread, I argued that they might pull the plug, and my friend then argued that No Man's Sky could... They pulled, like, the No Man's Sky move, they pulled it. And they bought a dead game back to life. And people keep fucking bringing this up over and over and over in every fucking game. And stop. Just stop. One success story does not mean that everyone else is gonna fucking do it or they even can do it. What Hello Games did with No Man's Sky is amazing. They actually brought a game back. But what they did after they released the games, they shut the fuck up. They listened to the community, and they did what the community wanted.
That is too much for some people.
Do you think though, if they hadn't done that, that studio was dead in the water?
Definitely.
Because I mean, they promised so much and delivered so little. Like as far as games, like being disappointed in games, it's not. There are definitely games that I've been more disappointed in, only because I was more excited for them. Fallout 76 was one of them. Luckily, it was really obvious that game was probably going to be really shitty before it came out. Anthem, I had a lot more expectations. It turned out to be pretty shitty. But for No Man's Sky, there was that leak like a week before it came out, where it was, for one, the whole game fit on a single Blu-ray disc or something. I don't even know if it was a Blu-ray. It might have been a double-sided DVD or something crazy small. I was like, well, obviously this game's not that crazy. And then a guy beat it in like 80 hours, or I don't even know if it was that long, some insanely small amount of time. So there were a lot of signs early on that it was
when No Man's Sky like came out, and when it became apparent that Sean Murray, who is the game director, he lied about the game, straight up lied. And I think that was what kind of was the biggest fault with No Man's Sky. But No Man's Sky, it had the building blocks within itself. It, like, even as a rudimentary game when it came out, like devoid of fucking everything, it still like had those basic building blocks inside already. They had like what they wanted. And after that, they delivered on those promises. Yes, after the fact. And yes, he did lie, but they did it. They put those things inside the game that they promised would be there on day one. But one should not expect every fucking failed video game to be able to pull a No Man's Sky. a little bit ridiculous. Anyway, yeah, let's move on. This has been almost an hour about fucking Anthem at this point, and related things. Blizzard had their BlizzCon. And,
Oh, yeah.
It was pretty underwhelming. But it did happen. Probably the biggest thing, Diablo 2 Remaster is coming out. It got officially announced. And yeah, Diablo 2 fans probably excited. Hopefully, I don't know. I never played the game, so I have no emotional attachment to it.
Then they pull a Warcraft 3 Reforged, right? Isn't that what everyone hated?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully like they learned something about Reforged and understand now that the community doesn't appreciate being lied to. Hopefully they don't fuck it up.
Seems to be a theme.
Yeah, I believe that it's a delicate balance between delivering every expectation and being cost efficient and, you know, putting out a product that makes money. But other than that, Diablo Immortal got like mentioned in a passing. That was pretty fun. Don't know when it's coming out. I don't really care. It's more of a meme to me, but you know, it was fun to hear about a little bit about Immortal. And Metallica performed For Whom the Bell Tolls. Now I can't play the clip because Metallica will kill me. But every other streamer muted their own stream when Metallica played because of DMCA. And even on Twitch's own Twitch gaming site, they played some happy music instead. They muted
That clip is so funny.
I mean, it's funny. The clip is fucking funny. I'm gonna link the clip in chat. Like you guys can like watch it on your own time or whatever. I will not play it because this clip has the beginning of For Whom the Bell Tolls. Yeah,
they didn't even know going in.
Yeah,
they saw Metallica go on stage and they were like, maybe they'll play some DMCA free stuff. Like, no.
Yeah, at least like Blizzard paid the license to, you know, have their music played. I think it's just ironic that Twitch's own channel can't even like do that. They're so afraid of getting DMCA'd. And I mean, I think it more than anything it reinforces that everyone should be afraid.
Well, it kind of shows that it's all on somewhat level playing field as far as, you know, it's not like they're whether or not they could, you know, I don't think they could, but I think it shows that this is not a Twitch issue, the not being able to play music. That's not a Twitch thing. It's the music industry. It's their thing.
Oh yeah,
It's nothing to do with Twitch itself.
Of course, like the optics of the entire situation is also just like hilarious because Metallica is also known for being like extremely vicious when it comes to you know, reinforcing their own ownership of their music, at least in the 90s against Napster.
Was that Fred Durst that like supported them and like was throwing benefit concerts for Napster? Limp Bizkit.
Ooh, I don't know.
And I think Metallica brought the hammer down, and Limp Bizkit thinks they're going to be the ones to save them. I might be showing my age a little bit on that.
I mean, I was also pretty young for the Napster era, but I know what Metallica did. I know that they don't appreciate people stealing their shit or, you know, playing their music. Which is kind of weird because they also like I think they've done this for at least 2 decades. They practically have like every live show free to be downloaded on one of their websites. So I mean, if you go,
but you can't show it anywhere.
Yeah, you can't fucking play it. Like because I saw Metallica in Helsinki back in 2006 or 7 or whatever, and yeah, after the fact, I downloaded that concert on like as MP3.
Yeah, they do that with every. They did the same thing. I saw them 2 years ago here, and they were just like, "Yeah, if you go to the website, there's a MP3 you can download." And I'm like, I guess they get ad revenue from it. I don't know. That's a guess. Completely.
No,
but-
I think because it's completely free to download, and they I think they do this with like practically every concert they do.
I also had the flu during that concert, but I had to go because I bought tickets. And so I sat down the entire concert and, in my whispered, raspy voice was like, die, die
At least
on hardcore meds.
at least you didn't have the COVID.
Yeah, that was pre-COVID.
Is there a time before pre-COVID anymore? I don't remember.
Even I have a Metallica live DVD.
Oh, nice.
Pretty dope.
You're completely right, Tom. Well, they do have like I don't know if it's the whole show, but they straight up have their tour videos on their website that you
tour
can
videos
watch.
Too?
Yeah, they have.
Okay.
Yeah, they have like their tour videos, and then it has every show. I mean, they got Jimmy Kimmel Live listed on here. And the funniest part about this is it looks like they're all hosted on YouTube. so I guess it's obviously if it's Metallica putting it up, they can they own the rights, they can do it. But yeah, they have hundreds of videos on here. They have 155 videos just from the 2019 tour they did. So 133 from 2017. So yeah, it does look like they have videos at least from the last, let's see, goes back to 2003. So at least since 2003, it looks like they have all of their tours. That's crazy. I never knew that.
Yeah, I mean it's and honestly, like I can like shit on Metallica and still like their music and honestly what they do, like how they do that, it's pretty dope. I don't know any other band that like actually does it. Because I didn't know about the videos. I knew about like just downloading the audio for concerts, and because I think there's like some 90s tours that they even have like you can just download the audio.
I'm pretty sure at some point they realized that they like bought all the camera equipment to like film all the DVDs and stuff. And at some point they just realized like we I don't know, we can't sell these stuff anymore. Just put it online. Like every
Well, they're
single
putting
gig.
it on. If they're putting it on YouTube too, I mean, they're getting ad revenue from that
Yeah.
for sure. So,
Oh yeah.
They're definitely they're making money off these videos. But like you said, yeah, they're recording them anyway. So why not?
Yeah.
If you've already got them.
Honestly, I think it's pretty dope. Not a whole lot of bands can do it, or they won't do it. Imagine if like Taylor Swift would just give away for free all her concerts, essentially, like after the fact. She would never do that. I don't know Mr. Swift or Mrs. Swift, and I don't mean to like bash her or anything. I used her as an example because she's a megastar. I don't listen to her music though.
She re-released Love Story like a week ago.
Yeah,
it's a good song.
It re-releases her
I'm
old
surprised
stuff because she hasn't the rights for the originals.
Yeah.
I'm surprised, Tom. I thought you'd just be a hardcore Tay-Babe fan.
Listen, man, I might portray a character here. What I do in my own time, it's a totally different thing. You have no idea what kind of shrine I have there in my living room.
Yeah, you don't know the posters on the other side of the camera.
Exactly. You don't see my wall over here.
Oh.
Anyway, BlizzCon
That's
was
good.
overall. I looked what other people thought about it online, and it seems like the consensus is that it was pretty boring. There was nothing about Overwatch 2.
There was a lot of Overwatch 2 stuff, but it wasn't in the like conference area. It was like go to this stream, and they talked about Overwatch 2 a ton, showed a bunch of concept. It was cool, like for what it was, but it was weird that it was like, let's show this outside of the announcement area on the side stream.
That's a little weird.
But yeah, there was a lot of it because I couldn't find the stream. I watched XQC watch it, so that's where I found it. But because I guess he was getting more viewers than the actual stream was. But
Probably.
yeah, Overwatch 2. I mean, it looked cool for what it was. I mean, the Overwatch 2 is a concept. I feel like I've touched on this a good bit. It's like it's kind of weird.
Yeah, I don't understand it either. It's just Overwatch again.
Yeah, so it's single player, but it's gonna be able to. It has multiplayer, but the multiplayer is gonna be backwards, like kind of compatible with the first multiplayer. So it's not actual new multiplayer. It's like it's the old multiplayer plus a new like single player PVE, like all that shabam. It's just weird that they made a whole new game for that when their entire player base still just plays Overwatch.
You are buying a single player game. If
Yeah.
you're buying Overwatch 2, that's what you're buying.
I get it. It makes sense to buy if you want the single player aspect, and I guess it can introduce people who haven't played it yet because you can still play the multiplayer, which is by far going to be what most people play, anyways. Like no doubt.
Yeah, I mean it's gonna be for totally new players and I don't know, probably the tippy top hardcore that wants to play the single player.
Yeah. Like I'll play it. I would have preferred a movie. Those movies on YouTube, those are good. I love those.
For me, it seems like it's just a love letter to the fans.
Yeah, I mean they have created quite a bit of lore behind the characters, and
Yeah.
it's to me it's just, why don't they sell it like why call it Overwatch 2? Why not
That's
sell
the
them
weird
as
part.
why not sell them as like, DLC?
That's exactly what I was getting ready to ask. Why is it not? I mean, obviously, Joe, it's money, but how can, what about it makes it Overwatch 2 and not Overwatch DLC? Like I mean, there's lots of games that they do this too, but the fact that it's like completely compatible with the first one, right? Like you can play as people that have the first one will be able to play with people that have the second one in multiplayer, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. So how is it not DLC? Like how
I think
do you?
they want to sell it for $60, so they can
Well,
have it as a DLC.
the first Overwatch came out for $40, so it's like
It's
just
not
weird.
gonna be 40. It's gonna be
Yeah.
if it's not 60, it's gonna be 70. Guaranteed.
Wow.
But like my point is, why is it not DLC? Like, because like what I said, the characters have like a lot of lore behind them. You could make like multiple like episodic small DLCs per character and sell them like $10 a pop.
Exactly.
And then they're like 2-3 hour long like small games.
I'm oddly more okay with that. Like,
Listen, Blizzard. Listen. Look here, Blizzard. I got the marketing for you guys. Just fucking hire me.
No. Come here. It's like this. You sell the base game $60, and then you make each character DLC $10.
Oh yeah. There we go.
Yeah.
Introduce the people first to the single player, and then sell the DLC.
Yeah,
They might do that.
because they're already invested.
They might still do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a few characters that I haven't seen in Overwatch 2 yet. Like maybe it's because I'm blind, which is so true, but I could see them doing that 100%. Like,
Totally.
oh, where's this character during the events of Overwatch 2? They're over here doing this thing you can buy for $10. Well,
I mean,
Final
that's
Fantasy
essentially-
15.
Or the siege model. Like it didn't really bother me that much. The whole like having the seasons and new characters, because you can play the game, essentially for free, or I don't know. You had to pay like $7 or something, I think, for the base pack. I don't even remember now, but so that's and I think Siege still doing that, where they release 5 characters every year or whatever.
They just released somebody.
$30.
I can't remember who it is. I don't play Siege. I have a bunch of friends that do, but they're talking about this new operator a few days ago.
Yeah,
so.
operators. Yeah. So I mean, something like that is if games are if they're gonna go down that path, like one or the other. Like don't do this thing where you're gonna sell a new game that's not a new game because it still works with the old game, and it's also obviously on the same engine and with no updates and
I honestly
call it
believe,
2.
I honestly believe North is onto something. I believe that they are selling the single player and multiplayer together as Overwatch 2 to introduce new players. Because Overwatch is an old game right now, so they want the new players in. This is the shiny new thing, Overwatch 2. It's a sequel to Overwatch. They don't know anything better. They're stupid, and they're like, oh fuck yeah, me and my buddy Trent over here, we're gonna buy this game and play together on Xbox. And then they buy it, and then they play the single player. But here's the catch: the single player is just it's the premise to the story. It's the episode 0. And then when they hook you with like a kick-ass cliffhanger, then it's like, boom, new episodes every 6 months.
Yeah, but think about that. Overwatch is almost 6 years old game. So all those kids, when they were like 7 years old, they remember like maybe their big brother playing Overwatch, and now 6 years later, Overwatch 2, and they're like hitting that puberty and getting their own PlayStation 5 and all that crazy stuff, and then they see it and they be like, "Oh shit, I should pick that up."
So I gotta answer Joe's question here. So he asked me if I would feel better if it wasn't compatible with the old game. And I told him yes, and he doesn't like that answer. And I want to explain real quick why. You're calling it a sequel. You're making a new game. You are saying this is Overwatch 2. This is not an Overwatch expansion. This is not an Overwatch DLC. This is Overwatch 2. What the fuck about it is a 2? There's no 2. It's Overwatch with more shit. Like Destiny 2 can't play with Destiny 1. You can't play Halo 2 and Halo 1 at the same time. You have Master Chief Collection. But it doesn't have to be a sequel. Okay. I can't get into Final Fantasy numbers. That's a whole other thing. But my point is, you're calling it a sequel to a game, but it's not. That is why if you either make a sequel, I shouldn't say I would. I think it'd be better to do it as do what it is. If
I understand.
So
I understand the argument.
You know, that's yeah. I mean, I think it's cool that you can do it. I just don't like what they call it. I guess that's I shouldn't say I would rather them. It's not that I would rather they didn't make it backwards compatible. I would rather they just didn't call it a sequel and they called it expansion or DLC or something else. I just wanted to explain myself.
But I think the reason they do that is because they struck gold with the multiplayer. That multiplayer,
yes.
I mean, whether you like it or not, is like it's got this huge competitive scene, the Seattle, you know.
Oh yeah.
It's like that's the reason it's been around for 6 years. That scared me when you said that, North. But yeah, so they're like, I think they were just scared. It's like, well, if we go all in on 2, one, they're putting all their resources into the single player, which I'll take, right? If you've got a gold multiplayer and then they just put all these resources into a new single player, hopefully it's not like a 3-hour experience. Hopefully it's like an actual like single player game you can sit down and play for like a good while and is like reasonably good, because that's what justifies this. But because the multiplayer is so good, I guess they're scared that if they make Overwatch 2, they don't want to kill off Overwatch's regular multiplayer if they introduce a new multiplayer. But then people don't like the new multiplayer, so then they have to like revert and do all this like back and forth work, and where they split their player base. And I think it's smart. I definitely agree with you where it's like maybe you didn't need to call it 2. I guess it just depends on how much the single player is.
I actually didn't. You brought a really good point, and I just want to say this one thing, and then I won't talk so much. But with the single player, that is a good point. I can see them charging a lot for the single player experience. What example maybe what they could have done is whatever the campaign is called, if they would have made like Overwatch campaign name and that be the new thing, and if you buy the campaign you get these characters, it would have just been Overwatch 2. And I'm totally cool with that if they're adding this campaign in single player, and you make a absolute fantastic point. And you know what, honestly, kudos to them, because that didn't even occur to me, the fact that they don't want to split their fan base, like just fucking keep growing it, you know. So it 100% makes sense. I guess I'm only upset about the name at this point anymore.
No, I agree with that.
Because I think the expectation is, when you're talking about a sequel, there's a certain expectation to it, and because we're conditioned to it. So when they're just calling it Overwatch 2, what we think is, oh, it's gonna be like a brand new experience, but that's not what it is. You are paying for the single player. Whatever the price is if it's 40, 60, 70, whatever, you are paying for the single player, especially if you have Overwatch 1. So in the end, I think the product will live or die based on, the single player. Because once it's out, and if the single player sucks, why would anyone buy it then? Because anyone who's like, oh, I'm thinking about coming into Overwatch, should I buy the first game or the second game? Oh, you definitely the first game. It's cheaper because player base is the same on both games. It's all the same maps, all the same characters, and the single player just sucks. It's like 2 hours long, and you get like cock blocked at the end, and nobody's happy. Oh, okay.
You do get new characters in the new one though, right? Season 2 does have characters that you don't get in the first one.
But because it's backwards compatible with the first multiplayer, I think they're introducing new characters with Overwatch 2. At least that's what it looks like, with like characters walking around I've never seen. But you're gonna get those in the first one too, because they have to be multiplayer. So it's just gonna come out with a new character for the first one. I think
they can't
so.
do that.
Well, I mean, they have to. Otherwise,
they can gate it off.
Yeah, Apex does that. Lots of games do that.
Yeah, but that's never how
Overwatch
Joe run. I think every time Overwatch comes out with a new character, you just get it. Like you never. I don't know.
Back to Tomo's point, you're just buying a single player. It's literally the only thing you're buying.
Yeah.
But if it's a 30-hour, I'm not advocating it for being long. But like if it's an actual experience, like people would pay. Like I pay $60 for a new Tomb Raider game. If it's beefed up as they promise, like with all the single player, and I think there's like a PvE mode that's supposed to be a big thing. Like if it's a lot and then it's just backwards compatible with the first one, go for it. I just hope they don't half-ass it and then stick 2 on it so they can charge $60, $70 for it.
Yeah,
guaranteed it's gonna be 60 or 70. Guaranteed. Because they're gonna charge for the multiplayer too. It's not gonna be free on the second game. So you are technically buying the multiplayer portion and the single player aspects. But for you, if you have Overwatch 1, you are essentially paying only for the single player aspects. But they are selling you like the quote unquote the complete package. Guaranteed it's gonna be 60 or 70.
Better name for Overwatch 2 would be Overwatch Origin. And
so
they've already done that.
Really?
Not even joke. Yeah, so when Overwatch originally came out, when it came out on PC, it was $40. It was $60 on PlayStation and Xbox just to charge the full price. But it was called the Origins Edition, where you got like a skin that was exclusive to I had to buy this. So I'm kind of upset, but yeah, that's what they called it. So, but I get what you're going for.
They called it. I'm sorry. They called it the Origins Edition on the PS4. Is that what you said?
Yeah, if you buy Overwatch, which I think they changed it by now, but like originally, if you bought Overwatch on a console, not on PC, you paid $20 more for it. So you paid AAA, $60. And then you got the Origins edition, which is just kind of like how, you buy a deluxe edition of anything else, just with a different name. I just thought it was funny that North brought that up, and then they had already.
Yeah.
So
They beat you to it 6 years ago.
So if you own the first one, you're buying the multiplayer again when you buy 2. So maybe it's not more consumer friendly.
But think about it this way: when Counter-Strike, if they release new game, the Counter-Strike goes basically off. Like, who wants to play that anymore? They got new shit, but all the skins, all that stuff loses their value. Like, imagine people who have spent like thousands of dollars on like keys and boxes, and now they release new game, and all of that is for nothing.
That's why Valve is not gonna make anything aside from CS:GO.
Before the player base goes.
Yeah, that has perfect algorithm too.
Yeah.
And that's what I hope they do, Joe. That was kind of what I was getting at.
Yeah, I mean, I hope that they do exactly what Joe is saying. So adjusting the price. So if you already own the first game, you pay a reduced price for the second game. I hope they do this. But Blizzard is owned by Activision, and Activision, is the devil.
Or just sell.
Gotta love
sell
that
2
money.
different versions. I sell like a version that only has the single player.
Oh, yeah.
And then sell a version that has the single player and the multiplayer. So if you own one, and then because it doesn't matter anymore, right? Because nobody's going out and buying physical copies of any of this shit. If you're buying it, I don't even know if you can buy a physical copy of Overwatch. I'm pretty sure that's physical. It's digital only. So yeah, there's no reason why they can't. To me, if they don't do that, if they say, all right, if it's $60, $70, whatever it is, surely there would be some outcry of people that go, I already own the first one. I don't need this. I don't want to pay that much. And whether or not now the difference will there be enough people? And the answer is probably honestly no. There probably won't be enough people that won't buy it for that reason. And there will be enough people that will buy it despite that reason that I would be probably more shocked if they didn't split the price up, but hopefully they do. And that would be, to me, obviously it's the right thing to do, but as Tummel pointed out, it's Activision. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, because we're talking about the same company that releases a Call of Duty game every year, and what Call of Duty games are these days is that they recycle the same maps from old games, and they're selling you that game for $60.
Or 100, 120,
Yeah, I mean,
140.
I mean,
Plus
when I buy games, I need the goldest edition of the most platinum fucking version of anything. So I drop, all my money on the latest and greatest to get, that one exclusive skin that costs like $30.
That will be worthless next year when the new game comes out.
Yeah, but, scrubs play 1-year-old games.
That is, that's why I have a problem with like 2K making NBA games. It's like you can pay to make your player better. Oh, like all my friends play 2K and I yell at them for it. Like, you just pay to make your player better and like pay for all this cosmetic stuff, and you pay to get better quicker, otherwise you have to grind the game for 150 hours. And then they come out with a new one the next year, and then all that's gone. There goes your $300 for your My Team pack. Like same thing with like FIFA. It's I got Ronaldo. My bank account took a $400 hit, and then you don't have Ronaldo next year. Where is he?
400? You're gonna crank those numbers up, baby.
Oh yeah. My bad. If you're a kid and don't have a concept of money, it's probably going to be somewhere in the multi-thousands.
Because
I'm sure there's plenty of adults.
That too.
Oh yeah. I mean, we've touched upon these things so many times here.
There's just there's always that one story. It's like the kid got the mom's credit card and spent $10,000 on FIFA packs, but it's not gambling. It's not.
And I know this is not like Activision, but EA also, like, they sell every year, like clockwork. They sell the same game over and over and over again to people who pay $60 for them. And I'm talking about, the NHL and FIFA games.
Yep.
and they are literal reskins. There is practically no difference between FIFA 2021 and 2020. There is practically no difference between NHL 2021 and 2020.
And the thing with those games though is because like other than the roster difference, right? It's such a niche audience because people that play, like my friends that play 2K like religiously, they don't play anything else, right? They'll pick up the Call of Duty, they'll play Warzone, they'll pick up some free game like Warzone, and then they'll spend like $300 on 2K every year. But to them, it's just 2K. That's all they play. So it's not as much of an expense for people like us. That's like, okay, I've got to map out my year. What am I buying? Right? It's like, it's so weird because like all to them, it's like $60, maybe spend $40 in game on packs. It's $100 a year. And like, I guess because it's the only game they play, they don't see that as a downside. Like you like going to the rec and playing basketball with your friends. You go home, you like basketball a lot. You play it on your console, and because
the issue is how those games are built up, how they're manipulating the player to pay to not play.
Yeah, it's so. Yeah, and since it's the only game they play, they won't updated rosters. You know, the UI looks different. I mean, it looks like a new game, sort of, not really. I don't know.
And then make the grind so miserable that you want to buy. So they're actually making a bad game so that you will spend more money on said bad game.
Yes.
Like that's literally, oh man.
And that's how they make so much money from all this. They all come out broken too, and like you know, you just get people to play test it for you. That happens with a lot of games where they come out like, imagine 10 years ago when, you know, let's say I guess 20 years ago when the GameCube was just coming out. Imagine if you make a broken game on release. You can't just give it to people and then they say, hey, this is what needs to be fixed, and then they do it, right? It's just kind of like you win or you lose.
You go back to Game Boy games. I mean, you had to fit the whole game on that cartridge and it had to be perfect. Any bugs. If you had a game breaking bug, which happened every once in a while, but very rarely, that was it. There's nothing you could do about it. I mean, like ET, you know, Atari, everybody learned their lesson and they were scared. And then the internet came along and everybody was no longer afraid.
Otherwise, the speedrunners get their hands on the game. You don't want that happening if you have glitches.
Yeah, you don't want to have some small kid play the game in 7 minutes when it's supposed to take 72 hours.
To be fair, though, like games programmed 20, 30 years ago are really, 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 really small compared to any AAA game that is developed today.
For sure. Oh, yeah. That's a really good point. People always complain about the sizes of new games. They just don't realize how much space images take up. Like a tree in a AAA title today uses up more space than all of my Super Mario Land on a Game Boy. So yeah, absolutely. You know, they are considerably larger, and they're not to say they aren't perfect. Like you said, you know, you look at people that speedrun Mario 64. You know, I got a buddy that does it. It's like 20 something minutes. I don't even know if it's that long now. So I mean, certainly bugs exist, but not at the level that some games come out with today.
I'm also like talking about just the amount of lines of code written for a game. A NES game has maybe a few thousand lines of code, and you know, the latest and greatest Cyberpunk, for instance, probably has million plus lines of code.
Funny how you mentioned the trees being bigger than the old games back in the day, and the trees are not that impressive though. Like even though they take a shit ton of space, they don't impress me.
Well, and to be fair, most trees are now procedurally generated. So
Yeah.
tree might have been a bad example, but just assets is really there are a lot of single assets in games that are they're megabytes, But yeah, going back to what Tummel said with the lines of code, absolutely. I mean, games are astronomically bigger than what they used to be.
Yep. But it sure is fucking easy when you only had to do roster changes for your fucking hockey game. You fucking,
Make the menu look different.
It's not even fucking. It's literally copy and paste. It's not.
No, they had it in rows last year. Now they're in columns. Columns.
Because even the FIFA games probably are the worst offenders here, where because there's like video footage of the new version of FIFA has the same, like, literally the same assets from the previous game, where they have the previous game's text on it still.
Yeah, yes. Oh, like the ads on the board. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
It is literally Control V and Control C.
No, Control C, Control V.
The other way around. Sorry.
See, that's exactly how they did. They got the FIFA, 18 on FIFA 20 billboards. They accidentally pasted before they copied.
Yeah, they fucked up.
Yeah, but Fallout 76 had assets from Skyrim. Think about that.
See, they've been using the same engine since Morrowind.
I'm not saying that using assets is wrong. Like, practically every fucking video game uses some sort of assets that is already used, especially if we're talking sequels. They're taking the assets from the old game to the new game. It happens every like year. It's industry practices that are normalized. I'm not like bogging on that. But when you're so lazy that you copy your entire game from last year and just slap a new number on it and call it a day and $60 please, that to me is the worst offense. There's so low effort. It boggles my fucking mind that people just they are like robots when they go in.
There's no reason why there should be a new sports game for any sport more frequently than probably every 5 years. Like, the technology does change enough that they could advance the graphics, but unless you're coming out with a new engine, new console, or you really, even if you've optimized it, there's no reason why new rosters and all that shit. They already sell roster updates now. I remember the first time I saw that, I about lost my shit. I was like, well, I'm never playing a sports game again ever. And they do get a lot of money from the Origin Game Pass, and that's how they bring in. But they still got these people that aren't buying the game, right? And then that's part of the reason they can do this, right? People are like, well, I'm already paying the $15, so so I've already got the game. I didn't spend the $60 on the game, so now they'll turn around and pump 60, 70, 100, 200, because they don't realize it. A lot of times too, they're like, oh, it's $10, $10, 20 times, and now all of a sudden they've bought every EA for the last 10 years or whatever.
Yeah, it's an overglorified gotcha game, is what you're saying.
Absolutely.
Fuck sports games.
Yeah.
That was BlizzConline.
I wish they were good. I really do, because I'm a big sports guy.
Have you played Copanito? It's fun. It's the best sports game there is, and it's like $3. Copanito. It's like it's a soccer game. I think it supports up to like 8 players, and it is literally let's see. Copanito. Oh, they've raised it to $6 now. I think it was 99 cents when I bought it.
Oh.
But it's a ton of fun. It's soccer or football for the rest of you. But yeah, it supports, I know, at least up to 4. I think we've played it with more than 4 because there's like 8 players. But it's like the best sports game in the last decade, I think. Check it out.
There's only one sport game I'm looking forward to, and that's Skatebird.
Skatebird?
Yeah, you gotta look that up. It's amazing.
I hope Skate 4 is good.
Skatebird is a bit of an inside joke here. But it is a game that I'm going to buy when it comes out, and I'm going to stream it. Anyway, let's move on. Since sometimes we talk about video games too. Trev and me, we've played a game, not like together. We totally did it separately. We both played it and we both finished it. Let's keep it super spoiler free though.
Noted. I know what you're talking about now.
Yeah, I mean, you fucking better. This happened like last week. Played Little Nightmares 2, and it is absolutely fucking amazing.
That game, so I love that game so much, and the first one. If anyone hasn't played either of those, they're cheap. They're fun. They're good. They're horror. I hate horror games. They're more atmospheric horror than like actual. I don't know. The second game, there's some enemies that I was like, okay, it's a little scary. I don't want to be here. That's why I stream horror games, though, is because I have people. I'm not just in a room by myself. I mean, in theory, but
to quickly explain what Little Nightmares is without spoiling. So it is a 2D game, both the first and the second one. 2D game where you control a character and you move from left to right, solving puzzles and avoiding unique kind of enemies. Then weird shit happens.
I saw a clip of someone playing Little Nightmares 2, but they had modded the game where it didn't have the original characters, but it had characters from Toy Story or some Disney movies. It got pretty hilarious.
I enjoyed the second one a lot. I would say though that if anyone considers playing the second one, I would highly fucking recommend playing the first one first. It adds to the story for the second one. I'm not gonna explain how. If you play the first one and then play the second one, you'll understand what I mean.
it is kind of hard to talk about without delving into, okay, this is what happens, and because it's basically, other than saying it's like a pseudo 2D, you kind of move back and forth a little bit.
It's a 2D
physics-based puzzle game.
Yeah.
Who are you playing as?
The first game you're playing as Six, character named Six, and the second game you play as Mono. Six is a little girl, and Mono is a little boy.
See, I don't even know their names.
Their names are never said in the game, but they are said in the Steam descriptions of the games.
There you go. The best way to tell story.
Is that really the only way to know their names? Is from the description of the game?
Yes.
Really?
Or any various other plays.
Oh,
because
the credits? Do they show it in the credits?
No.
I guess they don't talk, so.
No. So yeah, the games have no dialogue.
It was super fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, these are one of those unique types of games that, and Trevor's right, it's super difficult to talk about this without spoiling anything, because anything you say about the actual game, about this, because it is an experience. It's the same type of game that Pony Island is, Gris is, Limbo, Inside, just fucking the Hex. These small scale super handcrafted indie games that they tell a story and that's it, and then you either accept the story and like it or you don't. But Little Nightmares is definitely on the creepy side. Yeah, I would call them horror, but I think they tip the scales way more on the creep factor than actual old school horror.
That's why I like them a lot too. Yeah, if you compare it to Resident Evil 7, that's a lot more wow, in your face, all this is happening, and then Little Nightmares is more what is that thing? Like, what is
Yeah.
that?
There's like there's not jump scares per se, and more, you hear something and you see something and you're like, what the fuck? And then weird shit happens, and then the credits roll.
It's super creepy. Like, no, I knew nothing about the guy. I hadn't even seen gameplay of the first one. But Toma was so excited to play the second one. I was like, I gotta obviously watch this. And it was super fun stream. But man, that there was some creepy shit in that game that was like, this yeah, I might be having some dreams about this shit later tonight. Like, and it was yeah, you kind of nailed it comparing it to Limbo and Inside and those games. But there are not a lot of games that are like that. Like, I don't know how much fun I would enjoy watching somebody stream Limbo. And maybe it's because I played through those or whatever. But that was it's so fun to see. The game is very unpredictable. That's the best way I could describe it. You never knew what's coming around, and it was almost like watching a movie at that point. Like, it was, I thoroughly enjoyed it. The visuals, it's a gorgeous game too.
Yeah, and that's why
Can't be understated.
That's why I like compare it to those Limbos and Insights and that, because they are very much those experience games where you go through the game once and that's the experience you have. They're like, I think very few people play those games multiple times unless you go for collectibles or speedrunning or whatever, because there's really no point, right? Because like you said, like, it's unpredictable. All those games I listed are unpredictable, and once the twist or the story or the concept or whatever, it loses so much of that magic. Like, I can see myself playing Little Nightmares again, in 5 years, and I will enjoy them, but it's definitely not the type of game that you jump into like again, unless you go for collectibles or you're running the game or whatever. Super good game though. Fucking recommend. Right, Trev?
Yes, amen. I agree.
Amen.
Yeah, that's the down south in Alabama. Can I get an amen?
How much was it?
Man.
How much was it? You probably
20?
mentioned it.
Was it 20, 30 bucks? 20, 30. I can't
Interesting.
remember. It's one of those numbers.
So yeah, $30 in
There you
euros,
go.
so it'll be $30 in the freedom dollars. Any other currency I can't speak of. Australians probably pay more because games are fucked there. And Canadians probably pay more because games are fucked there too. And what I've said every single time we talk about pricing, I know, like, so I'll be transparent and also reveal like my play time. I completed Little Nightmares in 5 hours. So $30 in 5 hours. I think Trev completed a little bit quicker than me.
Yeah, it's like 4.5 because
Yeah.
probably just because I'm better than you, but like
Probably.
if
I'm an old man. Come on, man.
Yeah.
I'm not nimble anymore. But that's kind of like what we're working with. So I it's good, North, that you asked, because I do want to be transparent with these things. $30 is steep for a lot of people and completely understandable, especially when we're talking about a game that you completed in one sitting, and that's about it. But yeah, it is for me it was very much worth it.
Yeah, I think
So how was your-
it's a sweet spot for like buying into an experience, like $30. That is like the most you can ask for that, in my opinion.
How was your second playthrough? Tom, did you say you played through it again?
I didn't do it. No. I played it only once.
Oh, I thought you said you played through the first time as the girl, and then again, or as the boy, and then again as the girl.
First game you play as the girl, second game you play as the boy.
Oh, Little Nightmares 1.
Yep.
Yeah.
I gotcha. Okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah, yeet.
I'm less confused.
It's okay though. It's okay.
I'm less confused.
And that's kind of like the $30 like entry ticket price is also it gets steeper in a sense, because I do highly recommend anyone to play the first game before they play the second game, just because the second game makes way more sense. And I mean that's another $20 like on top of it, so
It'll go on sale. First
Yeah.
one's old.
Old, a couple of years, you know.
I think I bought a key off of like G2A.
Ooh.
Hate that website, but I did it. I did it.
Yeah, and honestly, like I'm not here to argue like price points and shit. Anyone who's listening, they know exactly what their like, you know, entry barrier is, and they know if they're gonna do it or not.
Just so people know, on the Windows Game Store right now, Little Nightmares 1 is $3.
What?
Windows games.
There's the sale.
So that is
Oh, I'm
pretty
sorry. I'm sorry. I read that wrong. That was the historical low. I apologize to
Oh.
everyone. It is in the US at Games Planet. They do have it for $3.60. Which is
But
still
if you happen to have a time machine, you can get it for $3.
yeah, you can save yourself 75 cents. I don't know how much it costs to operate a time machine. It's probably more than 75 cents though. So just make sure you at least do something else while you're there at that time.
Do like a
But,
lottery coupon or something.
Yeah, it's
Make the
currently
money back.
$3.75. Games Planet UK is $4. Denmark $4.55. Games Planet France.
regular old Steam puts it as $20.
Yeah, it's not on sale there
Nope.
currently. But if anybody wanted to pick it up right now, there are options to pick it up for less than $4. Which, if you could do that, and if you're $35, I mean, there's no doubt both games combined are 100% worth $35.
Yes.
Because then you're looking at 8, 9, maybe 10 hours of gameplay.
I do I do recommend both games. Before we start wrapping up, I want to give a shout out to Valheim. The greatest game ever made.
Is that so?
It is the greatest game ever made.
I'm so
How
looking
so?
forward to playing it.
Valheim became the 5th game ever to reach 500,000 concurrent players on Steam. And I'll ask you guys, do you guys know what the 4 other games are? Everyone say one game. North, go first.
GTA 5.
Trev, go.
CS:GO.
Nate, go.
Oh my god. Concurrent on Steam?
Yeah, all time. Like there's 5 games in total. Valheim is one of them. So 4 other games that have reached 500,000 concurrent.
500,000 concurrent? Man, GTA 5 is what I was gonna say. Man, that's a toughie. Rocket League claims to in their app, so we'll go with Rocket League. Maybe during RLS, but I doubt that's it.
Well, only
know-
Trev is right.
Really?
I know. Wait. Dota 2.
Yeah, I was gonna say Dota.
Oh,
Well, yeah. I mean, Dota 2 is also one of them. So Trev goes 2 for 2.
GTA 5, not 500,000 concurrent.
They've never
I'm
reached
surprised.
that,
That's
no.
actually
GTA has a lot of copies sold, but they've never reached 500,000 concurrent. 2 other games though. One of them is kind of obvious, but the last one was a surprise for me too.
I was trying to see it by most played, and I can't.
Trying to think of like sports,
Library.
esports games. That's where
Yeah.
I'm at.
Maybe Among Us.
That's-
Maybe Among Us.
Oh, Among Us is a good it's a good guess. They have never reached 500,000. A large portion of their players play on mobile because it's free.
Yeah.
What? Surely not something stupid like PUBG, right?
Ding ding ding.
Oh no, I forgot about PUBG.
There we go. PUBG is one of them too. There's one more game And this one is like, it actually like surprised me.
I don't know, some MMO.
It is actually a
Honey
single
Pop.
player. It's a single player game.
Single player game.
It's not Honey Pop though.
Dang, Honey Pop 2.
It's not Honey Pop 2 either.
Dang it!
No Man's
I'm out of
Sky?
options.
I don't know.
Not No Man's Sky.
I'm out. I'm out of guesses.
Yeah, I don't know. Skyrim. It's Skyrim. It's gonna be
It's
Skyrim.
definitely not
No.
Skyrim.
It's also probably something stupid. If I get this right, I'm looking at my own Steam list. It can't be American Truck Simulator. It just seems like something crazy out there. Like I was like,
Imagine.
what would be a game? I mean, there are a lot of people that play Truck Simulator.
Yeah,
like there's a
there
shit
are.
ton of people that play that game.
But like getting
It's a very popular.
half a million concurrent is that's the difficult part. Like you can have a bajillion
Beat
copies
Saber?
sold. It's not Beat
No,
Saber.
that's a 3D
Now I
game.
know. No, actually no. Really, Team Fortress didn't get 500,000 concurrent.
No, it's such an old game.
Yeah. It would have if I think it came out later. But
Yeah, it's such an old game.
Well, what is it? Spill the beans.
The second greatest game ever made. Cyberpunk 2077.
wow, really? Makes sense.
I
Day
forgot
one.
about that.
It's actually amazing that Cyberpunk reached that many concurrent, and
So
why it's like amazing is they reached that amount before people like stopped playing and buying because the game was broken.
I mean, it had to be the first day. It had to be release day or the day after. One of those 2 days had to be within the first.
I'm assuming that too.
And it has to also be the fastest declining game of all time.
Probably.
Simply for the, probably the most returned game of all time too.
Yeah,
is crazy.
Probably.
No Man's Sky was returned a lot. I know there was a Sony did the same thing with that with the refunds on it.
But didn't they refund every single PlayStation 4?
Yeah, because they took it
for-
off the PlayStation. They took it off the store.
Yeah, they refunded everyone who requested a refund.
Yeah, and on PS4 they just flat out weren't stopped selling it on there.
Yeah, they
Which is
pulled
just-
it. They pulled it and promised refunds for everyone. Another kind of neat thing with Valheim is that it not only is it one of the 5 games that reached 500,000 concurrent, it is the most positively reviewed game of all the 5 games.
Ooh.
I'm 100% convinced this is the next Minecraft. It will be as long as the devs can keep it up and they can keep the content flowing regularly enough to keep people interested. This game will be, because right now it is the Minecraft for adults. It's not as easy to build in as I spent like 5 hours yesterday trying to build the Statue of Liberty and failed miserably. I'm gonna try it again. I tried streaming it last night. It did not go well. It is so fucking hard to build out into the water in that game. It is really hard because the waves. I mean, it's an amazing game. I have 2 weeks. It keeps about 2 weeks. I have 80 something hours.
Yeah,
I have 85.6 hours in 2 weeks. Mind you, I have a full-time job.
Jesus.
It's Valheim, that's what it is.
Yeah,
it's
it's
crazy.
Valheim.
It's crazy. Where the
it's
fuck
the
do I
most-
see?
It's the most addicting game that I have played, and it's the game that for the longest time, it's like, man, I really miss those. I don't know if I played a game like that since college, where it's like I can't concentrate in class because all I want to do is go home and play this fucking game. I mean, I'm sure there's been games since then. Destiny 1 I was pretty big into. That was a lot of fun, maybe. But yesterday, that's kind of why I started doing that. I was like, I gotta wean myself off. So let me try something insanely hard.
Like isn't it? I gotta like not cold turkey, but like kind of like linear
Yeah, I can't just
regression
quit.
in the
I can't just quit.
direction.
It's almost like I need to do something in it that's gonna piss me off enough that I'll play it just a little bit less. You know,
It's crazy, like,
you
because
know.
they like I'm looking at I have 18 friends in my friends list. No, 20 friends in my friends list that has this game. I don't think I have another game that has that amount of like. I don't think any other game has reached.
I think they went
numbers.
from 4 to 5 million bought copies in like 4 days. And that's,
because there was I don't know
that's
in
big.
which fucking Discord it was posted, but they hit 5 million sold copies like yesterday.
Yeah. And it was like
Wow.
4 days before that they hit 4 million.
I mean, like honestly, like Valheim is. It's going to be the game of the year. I'm calling it right now. It is going to be, for a lot of publications, it is going to be the game of the year. Because you know it's not going to go to a fucking Call of Duty game. And you know it's not going to go for the annualized sports games. And there's nothing else coming out. If by some...
God of War?
It's not coming out.
It's pushed to next year.
Wait, did it get pushed?
Yeah, it's not coming this year.
What are they
How
doing the
much of
PlayStation
this-
conference tomorrow for them?
You know,
how much of
PS4
its success? So, I'm not. I don't want to retract from the fact that this is the best game that I have played in a very long time, as by the fact that I have 80 hours in 2 weeks. Like there are. I don't know if I've ever had a game where I've spent more time playing the game than I have working at my full-time job. I don't know if that's ever happened in my life. But how much of its success comes from the fact that not only is it a kick-ass game, but the timing of this game could not be more fucking perfect. It released when there's nothing to compete against it. The biggest game on Twitch right now, or it's probably Valheim by now, I would imagine, but when it came out was Warzone. Warzone has been dominating, but it's been dominating for long enough that I think people are starting to get sick of it a little bit. I think it's watchers, are going down. I know some of the big streamers are already starting to introduce other things in their streams. So there's not a lot of competition for it. I've yet to hear anybody say, I don't like it. If you go into a stream that has 3 people, you go into a stream that has 300 people, you ask every single person playing, there's nobody that says, oh, this game's shitty. It's no fun. I don't like it. Even if somebody probably isn't that crazy about it, they're not going to say it's a bad game. So you have a perfect game with nothing to compete against. It makes me wonder if this game if it was competing against, like, say if it had come out the week of Fall Guys, like if it came out like maybe the week after, maybe it would have eventually caught steam and maybe it would have blown up this big. I don't know, but I don't think so. I don't think this game would be as successful, and I'm super fucking glad that it is, because I want this game to be around. I want this game to be the next Minecraft as far as adding stuff to it. I want them to keep bringing us content. I'll pay more money for more content. I'll throw money at them. I don't care, because I'm enjoying it. I'm almost done with it, so that's why I'm already ready for more. But even then, there's still shit you can do, and I hope they don't change. I don't want them to change anything about the game. I just want them to add more stuff to it. And there's like, I don't want to spoil anything for anybody that doesn't know, but there are regions in the game that you can go to that are not complete. You can go to them and there's just nothing there. There's very little there, which they've already told us that one of the expansions is the mountains, which is already an important region of the game. So I'm excited. I think, sorry to go on a little bit there, but going back to my question, how much of its success do you guys think is due to timing? Am I crazy, or do you think that actually has something to do with it?
I think there might be something onto it, because I remember 2 years ago when Apex Legends came out, it came out of nowhere. Like week before that, no one heard of Apex Legends. Yep. And then in the middle of February, they just come out, and boom, in like 2 weeks, they hit like 5 million players too. It's amazing. There has to be something in this period of time.
I believe this was calculated by the devs because they know they already because they've been developing this game for a while, obviously. So they're looking at they're looking at everyone else. Everyone's delaying their games like further and further. Those who wanted to push their games out, like CD Projekt did last year, they did it because of the last console generation. Now the console generation is old. No one fucking cares about the PS4 anymore. Now it's all about the new consoles. There's not a fucking single next-gen game coming out. They're all been delayed to next year or further. Yeah, sure, we're gonna get some whatever games at some point that nobody gives a shit about. But the big hitters, they're not coming out this year. And usually, like, the trend has been, like, for the past couple years that those mid-level AAA games, they come out in, like, March and April. Because they don't want to compete with that, those Call of Duties and shit later in the year. And summer is just dead. So, and this year is, again, because the generation switched, there's nothing coming out. There's no games coming out this month. There's no games coming out next month. There's no games coming out in April. So, like, I believe that they did this deliberately. They knew that they had a great game, and they looked, and they're like, okay, let's let people cool down after the, Christmas. Let's not do it January, but let's hit hard on February. And boom. Fucking 3 weeks.
It is early access, right?
Oh, yeah. But this is probably one of the best early access games ever put out.
Yeah, so they probably just worked on it until they had a playable build, however long ago. And then they were just like, when you keep working on it because it's not done, it's early access. And then you're like, okay, when the time's right, it's playable, just boom it out. It's early access. We keep working on it, right?
But they gotta regret that $16 price tag because I know I would.
Bro,
I don't think so.
Still,
I don't
imagine if they had like $60.
It wouldn't be this popular.
You can't think like that, honestly, like in business.
No.
That is true.
It wouldn't be this popular, and it wouldn't gain the. So here's the flip side of that. You said think about how much money they made. They spent, as far as I can tell, zero on advertising. Maybe they've spent some money somewhere, but a lot of these big games, they'll throw money at streamers. Whether or not Fall Guys did, I would find it extremely hard to believe that they did not at least get some, from somewhere, whether probably wasn't them, the publisher. But Valheim doesn't have a publisher. They don't have anybody else that they're beholden to. They don't, as far as I can tell, they've not used any money on advertising. They've not paid any streamers, which is why you don't see a lot of the really, really big streamers playing it, because they don't need to pay people to advertise. They have this kick-ass game. So they've saved a lot of money, for a game that even $30, a game that costs $30, their ROI on the game is they're going to have to sell a lot more copies to get their money back versus a game like Valheim. And it's just Tummel, I hope you're right, man, because that means that they are some really smart fucking dudes, and they seem like to make a game this phenomenal, so fleshed out. I've only found one bug in the whole game, and you log out, you log back in, it's fixed. It's just a nuisance. You sometimes pick shit up and it won't be there. Like, you can't pick it up. You log out, log in, and it's fixed. This is literally the only bug I found. And 80 hours of play, and I've only got one big thing left to do. So sorry, and it's your fault, Tom. You're the one that you were talking about this game, and I was like, I gotta go. My buddy texted me the next day. He's like, "Hey, man, some guys want to play this Valheim game. Have you heard of it?" And I was like, yeah, I have heard of it, as a matter of fact. And it's been my life.
I think that's how most of the advertising's done. It's like, hey, we got buds that like this cool new game, and that's when multiplayers like hit that sweet spot, like we were talking about with like Tomb Raider. It's like maybe they get money if you get a couple buddies that want to play the multiplayer mode. But like that's how I heard about Valheim. It's like the first time I heard about Valheim, because I didn't hear about it coming out or anything, was my pest control guy came over here. I think I said this last time, to check on termites. saw my computer. I was like, "You play video games?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Have you heard of Valheim?" And it's like, oh, you're a walking advertisement. But that's how it was. And then I go on the podcast like the next day, and Tom's like, "All right, guys, we're talking about this game called Valheim." I was like, "Ugh." So like
That's
that,
when you make a
that's
good
all the
game.
ads you need.
It is the greatest game ever made. Also to so Valheim does have a publisher called
Oh, they do?
called Coffee Stain, who also
Oh,
publish
shit. I knew,
publish games
I knew
like
that.
Deep Rock Galactic and Satisfactory. It is
I knew
developed
that
by
because I
developed by a studio called Iron Gate. Is a Swedish developer, I'm assuming, because they are Iron Gate AB. AB stands for Aktiebolag, which is a stock company.
I'm having a deja vu.
Yeah, I think I said the exact same thing 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. Actually, now that you say that, which is sad because I've played both Deep Rock Galactic and Satisfactory, and they're both also really, really good games.
Yeah,
I
Satisfactory is
recommend them
really
both.
nice.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, yeah.
Coffee Stain, like, I'm commending Coffee Stain for picking up projects to publish that are really, really beloved by people. I played a little bit of Deep Rock with North. We didn't get too super deep into it. I still don't really understand why it's so highly rated by players. Probably should play more of it. I've played Satisfactory, some early builds on the Epic Store with Trevor and not this Trevor, the older Trevor, and with Sully.
Every time.
Every time, yeah. And
We'll play a game one day, Tom.
Yeah, we will, yeah. And like Sully specifically, or especially Sully, he fucking loves these games. He put like 1 million hours into Satisfactory, and he's up in some 100 something hours on Valheim right now. And I mean, this is his jam. That this is what he fucking loves. I wish all the best for Iron Gate Studios. I truly hope that they can keep the momentum. I think this is a staple boy, like, or staple game for how to do early access right, at least thus far. You know, have a game that is not complete, but they have the content there, not like a broken ass asset flip shitty fucking game. And I know that they've laid out some sort of roadmap. It's a little vague in my opinion, but honestly, with the game that they have at their hand, I don't give a shit. They are phenomenal job. Fucking phenomenal job. And yeah, 5 million copies sold in under a month. There's big AAA budget studios that fucking would salivate for this shit.
Yeah, let's get the Tetris numbers. Man, things with blocks, am I right?
Yeah. The if Valheim is the next Minecraft, I don't really know. I think they have a little bit of a road ahead to reach that point. Minecraft's selling point and strength and why it has such longevity is its sandbox-ness of it. And I don't think Valheim is there yet. They need way more sandbox elements in the game to reach that thing.
Yeah, that's why I was a little bit hasty jumping on to the Valheim train, because first of all, I'm scared that people are just gonna stop playing it like every other game, and if it's complete enough, because if I played like 10 hours and that's it, and I don't see how it's gonna like continue or see how it's gonna be in the future, so I just don't want to waste that time into a mediocre game. But I've opened my eyes. I can see it's amazing, and I want to play it.
I think if you rushed the game as fast as you could and you tried to go through like as little grinding as possible, maybe if you look stuff up and you know the secrets, then you might be able to go faster. But even then, I just don't see how you could get less than 20 hours out of the game. I don't see how. I mean, there are people that are going to speedrun this game and half that in no time. Probably people are going to speed run it in a couple of hours. But I think as it is right now, if you go in, you don't know a whole lot, especially if you're playing by yourself. But maybe I don't know if playing with another person actually makes you go faster or slower.
Probably slower.
But it probably does. You're probably right.
Because you have to
but either way,
mine for so much shit to craft everything.
Yeah. You're getting 20 hours out of it for sure. I mean, I have 80 hours and we haven't played through all the content yet, but there's been a lot of time of just, playing with a group of people and dicking around, just sailing around and singing sea shanties.
Wait, you can do that?
I mean, you can
Where's
sing
my-
yourself,
where's
right?
Steam?
I mean,
Where's Steam?
I mean, I literally sang it myself, not in the game. I sang sea
Vikings,
shanties
even
to everybody
better.
else.
Vikings
better.
don't sing sea shanties.
I'll get the clip and send it to you, Trev.
Thank you.
It's a little dirty. I'll just warn you right now.
I still haven't played Valheim, but I've definitely been meaning to ever since we talked about it last week. I just have been doing other things. But yeah, I mean, the entry price point is like, for what it is like, why wouldn't you buy it, right? If you like video games and you have, a bunch of friends playing it, I think it hits that perfect sweet spot.
Yeah. It's the greatest game ever made.
There you go.
Congratulations on the game of the year.
No, I mean, I'm not even bullshitting. I believe that this year is gonna be so starved of those traditional AAA games that I seriously believe this will be the game of the year.
You're forgetting about one game, Tom. Mario Golf is coming out in June, okay? And I'm buying it.
Skatebird is
And
going to release this year.
I thought you guys would say something legitimate. There are some
Tell me
rumors
Mario
about
Golf.
there are some
you
rumors
sick?
about the Sony State of Play that is happening tomorrow. Again, like gamers going rampant, of course. There's rumors that Elden Ring is gonna be shown, and that Elden Ring is gonna release this year. And there's also rumors that they're gonna bring Bloodborne not only to the PS5 but also to the PC. And I mean, I want to sip the Kool-Aid too, but I've been burned by Sony so many times at this point that I don't believe in anything. But yeah, State of Play tomorrow. Was it like reasonable hours?
I think it was 5 p.m. EST.
You put the thing somewhere.
Yeah. It's in my photos on my phone. So if I just pull this up really quick. 5 p.m. EST, yes. It says ET. Is that?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
it is
it's
18.
Eastern.
Okay.
Oh, Dan, we made a promise to Joe to not mention that on this podcast, but we're gonna mention that on the next podcast. For anyone listening on YouTube, you have no fucking idea what I'm talking about right now, and that is deliberate. I will not spoil this to the YouTube crowd. So anyway, we could start winding down here and
A lot happened this week.
What happened?
There was
this week?
also a I'm just talking about gaming wise, like I feel like we talked about a lot. Also, there was a Nintendo Direct last week, I think.
Yes, there was.
I watched that. That's where Mario, the new Mario Golf comes in, which I talked about on the end of the year podcast. That Mario Golf Toadstool Tour was game of the year, and Nintendo, welcomed me with open arms and decided it actually looks really good. If y'all, I know it's weird talking about Mario Golf, but they're bringing back story mode from the Game Boy version, which I beat twice, and I'm excited. It's the weirdest thing to be excited about, but yeah.
They also they announced this game, and you can play the demo on Switch now. They announced this tactics game, I forget. They have a working title for it. But the
It was
Project Tactics
Triangle something. Yeah. Same people that made Octopath.
Yeah, yeah. So if you know how Octopath Traveler looks like, it is the exact same art style, but it is a reminiscent of like Final Fantasy Tactics. So it is a turn-based tactics game, and my God, I really wanna fucking play.
Project Triangle. Is that what you?
Yeah, it's Triangle something. If you look up Project Triangle, it'll by far be the first thing that pops up.
Oh, Project Triangle Strategy. That's their
amazing.
working title.
Working title.
Yeah, Octopath Traveler was Project Octopath Traveler because there was 8 characters you could choose from, and that was working title. And then they were like, "Okay, Octopath Traveler."
Yeah, people were making that joke on Reddit that they hope that Project Triangle will also just be Project Triangle. Triangle Strategy.
Yeah, that's it.
Hey, I watched some gameplay of it, and yeah, fuck me, I really want to play it. It's coming to Switch and it's coming to PC and PS5, I think.
They have a debut demo for the Switch.
Yes.
Yeah, if it's like Octopath Traveler, it's like an hour. You play it. I had to grind. I played the Octopath Traveler demo. I had to grind for that thing. There was a boss fight at the end of the demo, and I had to grind for it, and I hated it. I never bought the game, but
yeah, unfortunately, the demo is just only available for Switch users. I mean, kind of get it, but would be real cool. I think Octopath, it came out on Switch and then it came on PC like after the fact, right?
Yeah.
I'm assuming they're gonna do the same thing here with
timed exclusivity.
Yeah. Probably doing the same thing with Project Triangle Strategy working title. Yeah, that was the Nintendo Direct. It was the first Direct in like over a year.
Yeah, no, it's almost. I think it was since September 2019. Because yes, I think so. Because I watch. I'm a big Smash guy, like esports Smash guy. So I watch all those to get the new Smash DLC stuff. Which they announced Pyra from Xenoblade Chronicles. If anyone's ever played that, I haven't. But Pyra and Mithra. But yeah, it's been forever. They did minis all through last year and then up to now, where they were like 20 minutes long, and it was just a bunch of indie games. But and then one thing.
They also had I don't know the dude's name, but I think it's the director of Breath of the Wild 2, and I enjoyed the little bit he made when you guys are all waiting for news on Breath of the Wild 2. And the news is there is no news. It probably like pissed off a lot of people, but I found that really funny. But they did
broke my heart.
They did like announce Skyward Sword remastered for the Wii.
And I think they're also doing a Pokemon announcement soon, but I can't because it's the 25th anniversary or whatever.
Oh, they're definitely gonna do something.
Yeah, I grew up on three more days according to Twitter, Pokemon Twitter. Pokemon Day is 3 days away, so probably getting something in that regard. Hopefully Diamond and Pearl remakes because it's the first Pokemon game I grew up with. So
I mean, probably
Diamond and Pearl.
Yep. Those are bangers. Those were the first ones that came out on the DS when that came out. So 2006, 5? No. It was a little later, I think. DS came out then. I think Diamond and Pearl probably came out in like 2008. I'm so guessing right now. Which is weird because I have a computer right here. But let's see. Yeah, 2006, September 2028.
A Diamond is 2006?
Yeah, I mean I didn't buy things on day one when I was 6, so I guess that's why my yeah.
Sense.
A lot of announcements though, but announcements for next year apparently because the only game that's going to come out is Valheim.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always looking forward for E3. If we're ever gonna get another E3. But yeah, this year will be pretty starved for at least big budget video games. So it is a great fucking time to put out like a shitload of indies. Anywho, watching everyone. This has been the Pantsless podcast.
Hell yeah, and we will be back next month. The second Wednesdays, 11th, I think.
10th.
The 10th,
10th?
yeah.
Oh,
You have-
Mario Day. Let's go.
Oh, is that Mario Day?
Yeah,
Oh.
March 10th.
Damn, dude.
But so that'll.
Well, thanks for having me on, guys. I
Great to have
appreciate
you here.
the
Yeah, thanks for
Yeah.
being.
Yeah, Nate
having
over
me
here
along
is
for the ride.
Nate over here is gonna be like kind of a supporting character, much like Dan Carnett is. We have our core four, but then we have our substitute players come in when other people can't be here, so that we can as much as possible retain like a four people setup on each podcast, not counting obviously the year-end episode or a potential E3 party episode, which I mean last year we didn't do that, right?
No.
Because there was no E3. That's right.
There wasn't. I don't think there was an E3 last year.
Yeah, there was the Summer Game Fest, and they had like, I have never watched in my life that many fucking like gaming shows. And I said it last year, I never want to do that again, because it was insane. The amount of like shows. I spent like multiple dozens of hours fucking watching these half-assed fucking gaming shows, trailer after trailer after trailer of games I didn't care about or remember even. I probably saw like 200-300 different video games in the span of like a week. And I can't name a single one of them anymore. I fucking know. Fucking horrible. Anywho, yeah, we'll be back in 2 weeks. About 2 weeks. It's gonna be the 10th of March. It'll be exactly 2 weeks. Exactly. Yeah. That's actually. Oh, who knew?
Neato.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, thanks, Nate, for being here, and we'll probably see you in
Thanks
the
for
future.
having me. If
Where
anybody-
can we
if
find
anybody-
you?
So as of
yeah.
today, it is I'm technically Night and Hail. But you can find me everywhere else as Achilles Star. And this exact time next week, my Twitch will be Achilles Star. So just look for Achilles Star. You wonder why you can't find me today. I felt like I needed to explain myself.
You'll find me wherever. Twitch is the usual stuff.
Same here.
Yeah.
And that's Trap Dog.
Yeah.
Thanks again.
I'm somewhere on the screen. I don't know where
Yeah.
exactly.
I think you're,
Let me look.
you're right there.
Top right. I'm above you. I'm above. Yeah.
Oh,
There you
look
go.
at
Wrong way. Wait. Point the other way. Point the other way.
that.
Nate.
This way. Oh, this way.
Yeah. No, yeah. There you go. There you go.
There you go.
I think I'm streaming tomorrow. I'm not sure. I want to watch. I'm definitely watching the PlayStation thing, but I might stream it. I don't know. Y'all know me. I do things. Sometimes I don't.
Hmm.
Those are
Yeah,
the
I
two options.
mostly
things.
don't do things.
Other than Darkon.
Yeah.
I'll continue Final Fantasy 12 on my channel at some point. I don't fucking know. Probably not tomorrow. I promise North I'll play Valheim. And I won't stream Valheim. And then I'm going back to work again, so who knows when I'll stream.
All right. Cool.
You better get back to it, Tim, though, because I watched while I'm at work, and it's been a boring week. So I need you to come on. I need you to come on back.
It's exhausting
When
to
you're
work
ready.
first and then like start streaming. Today I had like a fucking 10-hour shift and then it's like I eat and then we do the podcast, so I'm fucking beat.
What'd you eat?
I ate
This
SpaghettiOs.
podcast never ends.
It's not SpaghettiOs. I ate macaroni and not minced meat. Jauheliha in Finnish.
Not cheese.
No, I don't put cheese in that.
Macaroni and cheese.
Oh, it's what's fucking jauheliha in English?
Isn't it minced meat?
No, it's not minced meat. It's ground beef. That's it.
Ground beef?
Oh yeah, ground
Oh,
beef.
that's I love. So wait, hold on. You do mac and ground beef, but you don't put in the cheese.
No, I put
I know
tomato
mac and
sauce.
cheese.
Tomato sauce. So it's
Yeah.
it's more like an Italian pasta.
I got you.
Yeah, it's
Macaroni
more
mac and
healthy.
spaghetti.
I put ground beef in my mac and cheese all the time. It is amazing.
Well, I mean, I'm not
I didn't-
disgusting, so.
That's the part where we smile and wave.
Is it time for it?
we'll be back in 2 weeks. Smile and wave, boys.
Smile and wave.
Thanks for watching. Bye.